So welcome to everyone watching this video. In today's video, we are going to be continuing building the CSV parser which we were building in the previous video. So let's just check this out. If I will do zig build run, and you can see that all the rows have been printed. That's because I am looping over the result.rows, then the headers. I'm getting each and every single row. Actually, they should not be headers, they should be row. Then I am printing the individual row. That's the thing. Now, like this part has been implemented. But in previous video, we were discussing that we are facing a lot of issues, right? That is the number of columns is constant. As you can see here, the number of columns is constant and that's not the case, right? So let's just edit this first. First, we have to make this a variable. Variable number of columns is 1. Then uh, initially the number of columns will be 1, and then var iter for headers is equal to this. After that, while iter for headers dot next, I'm getting the column name, and then I'm appending those column name itself to the header list, right? If I will do number of columns plus plus, like if I will increment this inside of this loop, I would obviously able to get the number of columns that our CSV file has. So let's just do that. Number of columns plus equals to 1. That's the thing. After this, we need to, okay, so this will fix the amount of columns which we have. And firstly, we were checking if iter for headers dot next. So that's why I have chosen it as 1, because first we are checking the very first row, right? The very first column, and then we are going to next column. So that's the reason which we have kept this as 1. But I think this is the iter for lines, right? Okay, so we need to keep this 0 itself, because initially it would be 0, the number of columns would be 0, then it will be incremented. And if the number of columns is genuinely 0, that means there is no data, and we will go to the else part right here. Return CSV parsing error, right? Now we also have the number of rows. Let's just change that to variable number of rows. Now the number of rows, this time, because we are doing the very first pass and then we are continuing from here, this would be initially 1. Okay, remember that. After that, we need to like for every single row, that is while iter for lines dot next, we are going on to the next line. Then we are to increment the variable right here. That's the thing. Remove this. Yep, that's done. And number of rows is plus equals to 1. Again, we are facing more issues that we can fix by just giving the type to the variable. So the type is u16 for number of columns and u32 for number of rows. So let's just do that. U32. I'm going to write that, quit, and then do zig build run. Okay, it is working. Now let's just do something like, we need a way to check like if it is actually checking the number of columns correctly or not. So let's just do that. Result dot number of columns, and I need to print this. So std dot debug dot print, and I need to print the contents, that is the number of columns, and we will check if it is actually the number of columns or not. And this also needs to be formatted dot this, right? Write it, quit it, and sig build run. And where has this been printed? Okay, let's just move this line towards the bottom. So let's just do X for selecting the line, then Y to copy it, D to delete it, and P again for printing it. I mean pasting it. Now let's just do zig build run again, and you can see there are total number of columns is 22. So let's just cross check that by doing dot slash source slash weather.csv, and you can see this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, then 7 1 7 7 2 is 14, 7 3 is 21. So I mean roughly there are 21 columns only, right? I mean not roughly, like 21 columns are there. 22. So after doing like after implementing this, the next thing which we need to do, now we have implemented the number of columns and number of rows correctly. But you might also remember in the previous video I had told you that the implementation of this library is not safe. That is, this function is not memory safe, or it leaks the memory. So we need to check whether the function is leaking memory or not. For that, I won't be using the C allocator. Remember that C allocator in Zig programming language is not meant to, check for memory leakages. It's more oriented towards checking. It's more oriented towards performance, not any checks. So let's just continue from here. We now need to do const GPA. Let's just check the GPA. So GPA allocator in Zig. So let's just search for that. The 1 second. I need to open in the browser. Zen browser. Okay, now I need to search for GPA allocator in Zig, and inside of this zig.guide website that I really like because it teaches Zig programming language in a very fun way. Here we have var GPA is equal to this, const allocator is this, and then defer. So let's just copy this part and paste this inside of the terminal. Paste that there, and that's done. Now we are using this new allocator, that is the GPA allocator. So let's just pass that to this thing. To make this memory safe, we first need to follow a few things. The very first thing is that we have header list, right? We need to deinitialize it. You know the .dinit function. Now, a lot of you who knows it programming language, you very well, you must be knowing that to own slice, right? When once we call this function, there is no need to call the dinit function, right? But before we call the to owned slice option, we are checking if we are getting an error or not. In case we get an error, even in that case, we need to ensure that the code does not leak any memory. For that, let's just do an error defer to make sure that if an error occurs, the memory is deinitialized. So header list dot dinit, and I would be deinitializing it if there is an error. And if there is no error, obviously the to own slice function would be deinitializing it. Now we have completed this part. Let's just move on to the next part, that is this array list rows. Now a new line, the very same way error defer, then rows dot dinit. Perfect. Now to make it even more better, I think so. Okay, we are using this. A row will be equal to std array allocator. Then we are splitting it and getting the next column, and then we are doing to own slice. So I don't think so. We need to do error defer for this one because for this one because it is confirmed that this string exists. Because we are first checking that if that string exists, if that exists, then we are going into this, and there's no scope for any error except crashes, right? So I mean that's not even possible. So this does not leak any memory. I mean there are no chances for it to leak memory at this point. Line number 45. After this, let's just edit this thing. That is the except part. We should just do an @panic of test fail. That's it. Then what more do we need to do? Obviously, the result has the variable rows. Now we need to clear the memory using the allocator which was used to define the memory. So for doing that, to actually clear the memory, what we should be doing is, mm, okay, so defer to place the code at the very end of the scope. For we would be looping over the result dot uh, number of rows, because obviously there are a lot of entries for number of rows. Then okay, I also need to capture the row itself. I'm getting the row. Then inside this row I need to free the row itself. To do that, it is uh, no, not defer. This time we don't need defer, we just need to do allocator dot free. We need to call the free function and pass this once again this row into this row. Now I think that would be enough for for clearing the memory. We also need to clear the row itself, so let's do that. Defer the allocator dot free, and we need to pass the, oh sorry, this is not the number of rows, remember. I don't know why I am continuously behind number of rows, but it's actually rows itself, not the number of rows. Now we need to free the rows declaration itself. Rows, yes, now that's cleared. Okay, correct. Go here, comma, and then I think so this needs a semicolon. Yeah, that's also done. And the number of columns, see, it is an integer, we do not need to free this. Also add a new thing for defer allocator dot free, and I would be freeing the result dot header, because the header was also initialized using an allocator. Write that, quit it, and let's just check what kind of errors we face. Okay, no errors, it worked the very first time, that's good. So obviously we are, clearing the memory in a very correct way. That's why we didn't see any errors, and our code is memory safe now. So that's it. What we are going to be, what we did in this video. Now in the next video, we are going to implement an actual library. Like here we have the parse CSV function, and then here we have all the rest of declarations. Maybe I would add a few more parameters for checking if the CSV is correct or not. So we would be implementing that as well to check whether the CSV file is, like there the number of columns in the first row is same as the number of columns in the second row. And also we would be checking if the number of rows and all of the different checks we would be applying inside this function, the parse CSV function itself. And most probably in the next video we might be shifting this entire code into a distributable file, that is the library.zig file. We would be placing that in that file. So thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to smash the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel for more such content, and thank you.